And as I say all the time, primary duty is to the audience and to the truth and to telling the audience the truth. And when you mention that it is political, you're right. It is political. It's a very political job. And the difference between the electorate for the president, for example, or senators or governors, the duty to the electorate, if you are the NFLPA executive director or president or member of the executive committee, there's a fiduciary duty to your constituents that doesn't exist in normal politics. So if anything, the stakes are higher in the world that you and I have been investigating and trying to shine a light on, because there are certain false moves that you can make that can get you in serious legal trouble, as we are learning. And, as we try to figure out where this is going to go, the FBI is already investigating activities related to the NFLPA and Lloyd Howell, and now the strip club expense report misadventures. That, I believe, will get the attention. It should get the attention of the regulatory agencies and federal prosecutors, because it's dues paid by the players that are being used for purposes completely unrelated to the mission of representing the players collectively. And it just feels like, that was the moment this all kind of changed, where it's like, boy, it feels like somebody may have to go hire a lawyer at some point to handle a white collar criminal defense.
You know what? I want to talk about the strip clubs as well, not just because it's hilarious, just that it's all, by the way, the other theory of politics that I share is that all of this is also Veep, that show where like it's just rank tragicomic incompetence as much as there is strategic chess master malice, right? All of these things can coexist. The whole thing about the strip club stuff, my regret is that, and I fully credit Don Van Natta on nailing it down. I had heard this. I didn't, in fact, I can say for now that I had heard it to be more expansive than this, but never was able to nail it down in terms of like how many cities did this happen in, right? I underestimated, and what a naivete, right? I underestimated the public power of a strip club expense report. I wish I had spent more time investigating and nailing that down. Whether or not I would have done it is a separate question. But when you talk about the unlocking of the door to public conversation, I just noticed, for instance, Pat McAfee finally weighs in on this subject in public.
Didn't address it at all until the strip club expense reports came out.
And it became this thing that everybody could wrap their mind around. And it's, again, a clinic in not just American democracy, but in American media literacy. It's like, oh, I don't need to know anything about the law. I don't need to know anything about constitutional amendments. I don't need to know anything about conflicts of interest and private equity. I just know that sounds like a thing a dirtbag would do. And so it became this skeleton key into the minds of people who just had disinterest in labor relations. Of course, the story, I would argue, has been this entire time, as confetti on Zoom falls upon me.
Something about this triggers confetti. It happened to me earlier today on The Score in Chicago. I can't do it now, which means there it goes. I was lying. But no, there's something about the air quotes that makes confetti fall. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And it won't happen again now that you're trying.
I think I blew our confetti load, Mike. I'm sorry. The refractory period for confetti has now set in.
Okay.
The thing I'm trying to say, by the way, on topic for what we're talking about, vis-a-vis Tootsies, right? Like what I'm saying here is that's the kind of thing that draws the attention of people who are just like, I've been unsure of how to get into this, and now it feels like it's fully okay because of the strip club thing. And it's just funny. It's funny how stories like this, you can have smoking guns, and the thing that actually you need is a strip club expense report. And I fully credit the reporting on that.
And it makes sense because at the end of the day, we're storytellers. Anyone in the media, you got to be telling a story. And one of the confusing things about this story, if you don't understand the nuances, is who's the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And are we sure that Lloyd Howell's the villain, or is somebody out to get him? Is he really the secret protagonist who is aligned against forces that are trying to bring him down unfairly? You throw in the strip club expense report, and we know who the villain is. And then it's a hell of a lot easier to frame this story.
Yeah, you don't have to go through the whole. And by the way, what I love about the episodes we've done together over on my show is that I swear to you, it'll if you haven't listened to it, which is insane to contemplate if you're listening to this, but it's basically a true crime style unfolding, right? It is actually meant to be mainstreamed in all those ways. But my God, like when it comes to the list of things, Mike, my other difficulty here has always been, and I've been talking about this, thankfully, on PTI. I've been filling in for Wilbon, and I've been asked to explain the story to America in this way. And I do it the best I can. But if you're to do the comprehensive accounting of what's in this thing, it's just very funny to me that the FBI investigation is invariably like, it's Lindsey Buckingham. It's like we ran out of time before he got to show up on set.
Yes.
I'm like,
what up with that?
Yes, it's what up with that? Well, I'm sorry. Next time we'll get to you, Lindsey. Literally the FBI. Like, that's how crazy this is. And I think that's the right call, by the way, as I've always said. Like, I think the FBI one-team investigation, which we will and should get to, by the way, spoiler alert at some point, that is still, that's a later course in this meal that continues to unfurl.
And if anyone hasn't seen either of the 2 episodes that Pablo and I did together of Pablo Torre Finds Out, or other episodes of it, it really is fascinating for me, because when I watch it, it's such a different experience, because when we do it, it's just like this.
Yes.
But I know that as you lead me through the topics, that there's a structure to it. There's a design in mind. And then your team does such a great job of editing everything together and making it all come to life. And look, what do we do? An hour and a half, 2 hours each time. It's boiled down to about an hour. There's some interesting stuff on the cutting room floor.
Always.
But to watch the whole thing and the final product, it really is amazing. And your crew works hard. They put a lot of work into it, and it comes through. Obviously, it's someone like me who's been part of the raw recording, to see how it ends up, it really is impressive.
Well, look, the sausage getting made is another through line in all of this, right? Like, how does this stuff happen? What do you see once it gets to a, let's just call it a public ready form? Like, okay, what do they want us to know? For us, by the way, and this is where it's interesting to talk about this stuff in a meta way, which I wouldn't do over on my show, so I appreciate it here, is, yeah, we are trying to replicate for the audience the experience we've had in our personal gradual revelation around why these things connect. And you got to withhold some details for them to pay off later. That's storytelling, right? That's different from certainly it's different from an arbitrator's summary of findings, right? You get the summary at the top. And by the way, different from news, different from what you do at PFT. Like, of course it is, right? In the news business, it's different from, here is the ride we're going to take you on, in which you're going to basically get to feel what it's like to be us.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.